Welcome to this edition of More Than You Asked For podcast. Wednesday night. There we go. I think I'm back. Sorry, I'm myself. Yep. Welcome to this edition of More Than You Asked For podcast. Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, maybe a little bit short one. Trev's going to join us for just a few minutes here. He's meeting a mutual friend from Iowa out where they're both at workplaces and happen to be in the same spot for two completely different things. And we want him to go do that. So he's going to join us here for a little bit before he heads to dinner. But it's his time of year. The NFL Combine was this weekend. Iowa had maybe the most popular guy there in the big red flow, and they put his 40-yard dash to Freebird and everything else like that. But Trev, I'll pass it on to you, and you can talk NFL and the NFL Combine.
Yeah, NFL Combine took place over the last week. There were some winners and, of course, a couple losers in there, just like every time. But yeah, meeting Mike Foster tonight after he gets done with some meetings that he's got going on. So who knows when we'll see each other again on the road? This could be the only time, who knows when the next time will be. So we're going to meet up and go hang out and watch some sports and stuff like that. But no, there were some real winners. Sonny Styles, a linebacker out of Ohio State, tore it up. One of the best combines of all time. Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. I don't think there's any way he gets out of the top 10. And honestly, I don't know if he gets out of the top 5. And that's pretty big for a running back nowadays. So there was others, of course. We could go through plenty of them, but we're going to try to be a little bit quicker tonight. One thing I found interesting was a podcast I listened to this morning. Danielle Kelly was a former NFL scout, and he's got Fernando Mendoza as a 4th-round grade. And he does not believe that the Raiders are going to take him. Now, Daniel Kelly, he's got firstroundmock.com. He posts everything online. He makes everything public. He called out Shedeur Sanders was an undraftable quarterback. Kind of the same things with Anthony Richardson and some other quarterbacks over the years. So he's had some hits. He's also had some misses. He admits that, just as anybody does in this industry when you're trying to project how quarterbacks are going to be. But he does not believe Fernando Mendoza is a first-roundable, draftable quarterback.
The only thing I always wonder about those guys, and I understand they hit some, they miss some, is he doing it for attention? Is by him saying that, does he get more people to go to his site? Things like, that's the only thing I always kind of wonder about that when you make a real strong take like that. Mel Kiper last year was kind of the opposite. He was all in on Shedeur Sanders. And yeah, you just never know. And who knows what it'll be of what it really will end up. We won't know how the draft works out. We never do for 5 years, and then we'll see how it is. But I've heard more than not that Fernando Mendoza will be a good NFL quarterback. Now, you never can say what actually, but he's not going to be – they don't believe he will be a complete bust because he does work hard. He does all the right things, and he's good enough athlete, has good enough skills to do the right things. Now, the problem is he's going to probably go to the Raiders, and the Raiders have not done anything to help any quarterback in the last 25 years.
Yeah, no, and he admitted that too. He's like, I know I get a lot of people that try to say that I'm just out for clicks. So he's fully aware of that. One of his biggest concerns is obviously he likes Mendoza character.
Right. Yeah. How can you not? Yeah.
Yeah. He loves all that. But I think 97% of his snaps have come from the shotgun. Everything's a 1 or 2 reads. So he's not going to go through a full progression like an NFL quarterback's going to have to do. And he's worried about him in the pocket. He said he's obviously tough. He'll take hits. We saw that in the Ohio State game and the Miami game. But he gets happy feet quickly in the pocket when pressure starts to get around him. So it was just interesting because I hadn't heard anyone say that yet. And his prediction is the Raiders are going to pass on him. I'm going to send a mock draft to you probably this weekend. I was trying to get it finished up this week, but it's been a crazy week with work. I still have Mendoza going number 1 of the Raiders. I still believe that. But when stuff like this starts to come out, it is something to pay attention to. So it's just a little nugget to we'll see between now and the draft if more of these rumors start to heat up about Mendoza.
Yeah, every year there's somebody picks out that they're trying to get him to go lower, or they find something to go against him. What's the lineman's name that they had him in the mask and the smoking weed and stuff like that? Yep, and he's turned into being a really, really good player. It was everybody makes bad decisions, mistakes, whatever. They found that. They leaked it right before the draft. He dropped spots, but it hasn't affected his NFL career. And then there's other people that, get picked number one, Jamarcus Russell, and he should have never been number one. He was on a good team. He was a scouting or combine darling. And that's the one thing that I hope teams are getting better at, and I think maybe they are, is don't be enamored with just what they do at the combine. Because underwear Olympics, that's kind of a term that is used by a lot of people. You can be a freak athlete, you can be a freak tester, but can you actually play football? And then also, there's a difference here, and this is what Matt Campbell, I think, did a really, really good job doing at Iowa State, is you have to love football. And I think we're going to maybe hit this, maybe not tonight, but going forward, the Bears had a lineman retire. The first thing that hit my head, and I have not read that much into it, he didn't love football. He was there because he was really good at it and wanted to do it, but he didn't love football. I don't know how you can argue that. You don't retire at 25 if you love what you're doing. Because I don't think it was an injury or anything, do you?
Not that I've heard, but yeah, that was a surprising one. So that opens up a new hole for the Bears. So I still think they're going to go defense early, but as I mentioned maybe they could get a Logan Jones in the 3rd or 4th round at center to help replace him.
Oh, absolutely. But just you have to find, and Campbell talked about it, you have to love football. It's hard. Football is very hard. It's very demanding. It's all kinds of prep time for 60 minutes. It's not go out and play 6 days a week like baseball. It's not play 2 or 3 days a week like basketball. It is prepare, and then perform. Prepare, perform. It's so much more preparation than other sports. And then it's so much more mental and recovery because each week and each game is such physical brute force and just your body just, they talk about every Monday's, it's like your body was in a car wreck and it takes 3 days to recover. And football is just different and it takes a special person to do.
No, it absolutely does. You got to love the game. And, speaking of just one more rumor that went on at the combine, John Middlecoff, another former NFL scout who I love listening to, he put out a podcast today, and I was just listening to it a bit ago. He said there's a guy that's going to go in the top 10 and potentially top 15 at worst that's got some serious legal trouble off the field that the media and people like us don't know about yet. And it's just a matter of time before it gets leaked. Because as you mentioned earlier with Tunsil, somebody's going to leak it before the draft because they want him to drop. Because maybe they hope they can get him later in the draft and just overlook his character issues. So he didn't say who it was, but there's a guy that's going to go in the top 10 to 15 that's got a major problem off the field, and we're going to find out about that sometime between now and the draft.
Well, that stinks. You don't want to hear that from anybody, but if they made a mistake, they need to own up to it. And whatever has happened, they've done a great job of keeping this a secret. A lot of legal stuff is out in the public domain, and obviously the program himself, his agent, his group has done a great job of keeping that under wraps, or whatever he did for some reason doesn't have to be in the public setting yet, because there's lots and lots of papers and news, TV stations that just follow the court proceedings, just looking for something.
Yeah, obviously you don't wish it upon anybody, but it's something, like I said, between now and the draft that eventually the news is going to get out. It's going to be breaking news on ESPN and all the sites. So I don't know how serious it is. He didn't say what the allegation was, and he didn't say the player's name, but he talked to enough former friends in the industry or people that he worked with that somebody early is in some trouble. So that's just another inside nugget to kind of keep track of as we're moving forward.
So with Love from Notre Dame, I know he had a great combine and everything, but it is a running back, and running backs are a dime a dozen anymore. How high will he go? And how, I mean,
number 3 to Arizona.
And I don't care how good he is, that's too high for today's NFL, in my opinion.
It probably is, but running backs are making a comeback, though. And running backs, besides quarterback, running back's my favorite position to watch as a fan. I love watching running backs. Iowa State's had some great ones over the years, so has Iowa. I kind of like this for running backs, but when I get my mock draft sent to you, probably this Friday or Saturday, I'll be on the road. I got nothing going on because I'm a nerd when it comes to the draft, so I'll sit in my hotel room and get it finished up. But I've either got him going 3 to Arizona, 4 to Tennessee, and believe it or not, I think the Giants are in play at number 5 for him.
You don't think those teams just need too much else or they just think, well, if you get a good running back and a decent running game, it'll help your quarterback?
They probably need more, so I agree with you there, but this is Ashton Genty on steroids. Ashton Genty went 7 or 8, whatever it was last year. So yeah. I think Love's going to go, at worst, number 9 to Kansas City. I don't see him making it past that, but if he's there at 8, I think the Saints have to give him a shot. Kamara's basically finished. I think he ran for like less than 500 yards last year. He's 30 years old. So Love is moving up the boards on the field and off the field from everything I know. So, yeah, typically, me, when it comes to top 5 and top 10 picks, I like quarterbacks and big humans, O-line, D linemen. But Love's a special talent, and I think I think somebody's going to take a chance on him in the top 5.
Yeah, I just would pick him if I'm number 10 and I want him. I don't have a problem going to 8, but any more than 8, I have a hard time drafting a running back now.
Yeah, no, and listen, they have injury histories. A lot of them drop off the map at 28, 29, 30 years old. So typically when you draft a running back in the first round, you kind of want to use them for their rookie contract and then let them go. Now there's outliers like Adrian Peterson, McCaffrey. And really, if you go back and look through recent history, a lot of the running backs in the top 10 or top 20 work out really well. Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, even Leonard Fournette had some really good years in Jacksonville and Tampa. So usually when running backs go early, they actually hit. But again, it's that conflict of interest of where, how high do you want to take a running back? Do you want to take other positions? And then what do you do once a rookie contract is up? Do you let him walk or do you give him a new deal? So it's tough, but just like a lot of people, he's like my favorite player in the draft.
Yeah. He's got everything. He's big, he's fast. He's done it. Played a national championship game. He's done it all. Yeah,
and I'm looking at. I've got about 15 picks pulled up on my mock draft right now on my Word document. I know I got to send it to you, but ask me for one team or something that you're interested in that's picking near the top, who I think they might go after. Besides the Jordan or Jeremiah Love talk that we just did.
Oh, that's gonna go after. Like, who are the Jets going to go after?
Yeah, or a team in the top 15-ish that you're maybe interested in, who they might take.
Well, I'm interested in the Saints because you got Kellen Moore as the head coach. They're not. What are they picking? 3rd?
They're picking number 8.
Number 8.
They actually ended the season.
They did end up winning a few games at the end, didn't they? Because for a long time they had the worst record. Them at 8. Who do you have him going to?
Vega Ione, the guard from Penn State. I have a guard going number 8 right now. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are saying he is the safest player in the draft.
Yeah, and for a team, a young head coach trying to solidify, like you said, big humans like that. Can you get one more year out of Kamara? I don't know, one more good enough year out of Kamara. Okay, and then you got to have a good O and D line. I mean, you look at it's just that's football. And then, yeah, I mean the Seahawks.
They took an offensive tackle with their first round pick last year. Their guard play has been terrible this past year. So I have them going back-to-back years of O linemen.
Yeah, I like that. D lineman maybe there, but who do you have? Who are the receivers going in the top 10?
I think only one.
Yeah.
And it's Cardinal Tate out of Ohio State. Mekhi Lemon out of USC. Maybe you saw some stuff about him. He had a terrible interview.
Yep.
It looked like some people thought he might have been high on drugs or pills, the way he was acting. If you go find any videos on social media, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And then Jordan Tice out of Arizona State's got injury concerns.
Yeah, and say
I love him.
He's really good, but he's been hurt. I mean, that's just facts. And some of the thing is, the best receivers this year were sophomores. They got to come back one more year, so they're just not eligible for the draft yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the first 20 picks of this draft are going to be heavy on defense. I think defense is going to lead the way this draft. Last year, I told you, I think it went over 6.5 or 7.5 offensive linemen, whatever the number was. Looking back on it, the first 20 picks this year, I think, is going to be heavy defense all around.
Nice. No, just a couple things, a couple trades. David Montgomery got traded to Houston, so it's definitely becoming the Houston Cyclones. They just need to get Purdy there, and then half of their offense will be Cyclones, and maybe draft Dominic Orange in the third round or whatever he goes to, and then you add a guy on defense. But yeah, it's just and he's really good, but he's hitting that 28, 29. And then Detroit a little bit just salary cap hit. They got another really, really good running back, and unfortunately, that is the life of a running back in the NFL.
Yeah, it was. Some people might have been surprised, but Dan Campbell talked about it toward the end of the season that Montgomery's carries were getting lessened, and he kind of maybe slipped up a little bit, but he's like, we're going to try to do right by David Montgomery. He's been a great player for us, a great person in the locker room. So they wanted to move him somewhere where he can get more carries, and they need draft picks. They got to get a little bit cheaper because they got a ton of good players that are already getting paid or soon to get paid. So him going to the Texans, I like it, but the thing that worries me most about the Texans is they have like no offensive linemen. They've traded another 2 offensive linemen away. That was their problem last year. And for the Texans, it's got nothing to do with Iowa State players.
No.
My biggest concern is they might be a team that totally busts next year because of how C.J. Stroud played in the playoffs.
Well, that's the thing is I was listening to somebody talk. He goes, it doesn't matter if your quarterback turns it over 27 times a game.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play well versus Steelers. Now, they won the game, but
right.
That was mostly due to the defense.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that was a joke is you can run the ball you want, but if the quarterback turns it over, who cares? But maybe with him taking some pressure off I think that's what Houston's thinking, and I like that is, hey, let's control it a little bit more, not put it all on Stroud. Now they got to get some better linemen. I mean, they were really bad up front, and that has to be their draft. Everything they draft needs to be offensive linemen, in my opinion.
Yeah, because we know the defense is going to be great. We know they're going to be set at receivers, running backs. They're okay at tight end, good enough.
Yep.
And quarterback, it's kind of we don't know. Great rookie year,
right?
And it's been hit or miss since. So,
well, you're going to go with him. Let's listen. I mean, you don't know what you have, but you've got him figured out. He's your quarterback this year.
For this year, I would not give him an extension. There's talks about that. I would give Will Howard, or Will Anderson. Sorry, excuse me.
The D lineman. Yep.
Give him an extension, but C.J. Stroud, I'd make him play it out. But yeah, that was a big trade, of course. So Montgomery should see an increase in carries next year in Houston. We'll wait to see how good they're going to be. And then, of course, the big one today was Trent McDuffie getting traded to the Rams. And that's a trade I like for both teams because the Rams had extra late-round picks, and their biggest weakness was the secondary.
Yeah. And the Chiefs, this is not going to be the first transaction the Chiefs have of letting go of a good player because they are approaching salary cap hell.
They've restructured some stuff.
Right.
They released Jawan Taylor, the right tackle, who's actually a a pretty good right tackle, but he leads the league in penalties every year. So that's a problem. Like he's probably like a B or a B plus right tackle, but when you factor in the penalties, he's like a B minus or C plus player because those penalties do add up. That's a concern. But they brought in the 49ers tackle from last year. So I think at 9 for the Chiefs, they're probably going to go an edge rusher, would be my guess as of right now. And then at pick 29, I wouldn't even be surprised if they trade down and get more draft picks or maybe get some picks for next year. But they needed a running back, of course.
Right.
I think they'll wait on that because Jeremiah Love's probably not going to fall to him.
No.
And Andy Reid's history, he likes the big linemen, O and D line. But they probably should draft a tackle at some point just as backup insurance. And then they've got some drama in the wide receiver room. They've got some headaches there, so they probably need to take another receiver. And then the Chiefs do a really good job of drafting defensive backs. So I think they'll take a couple defensive backs throughout the draft along with an edge rusher and kind of get it figured out. But it's a rebuild for the Chiefs, but it's not like a rebuild like the Jets or the Browns are because they have got Mahomes and Andy Reid. Have
the Jets tagged Breece Hall yet, or is that just the prediction?
I believe they did.
I saw that I don't remember if I saw it was a done deal or they thought they were going. I mean, that was the indication they were going to.
I'm pretty sure they did. I've got the they did franchise officially. Yep. So he's going to be there.
So that's good for him. I mean, it's. I mean, I think I'd want to trade, but at least he's going to get. So when they franchise him, it's like the average of the top 5 guys, right? Something like that.
He's going to get paid a lot for a year, but if he has an injury this year, then it's it's not such a good deal for him because then he's going to make less, next offseason, of course. So it's kind of one of those hit or misses. I mean, the Patriots released Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
Kyler Murray's getting released. Tua is probably going to get released. There's some big things going on. It's going to be an interesting offseason.
Kirk Cousins is getting released too. I think we talked about that. So, I think that's probably good for the NFL. I do want to talk before you have to get out of here. Let's talk basketball. Let's start with the Hawks. They play tomorrow night against Michigan, obviously one of the best teams in the country. It's going to be a tall task. Senior night at Carver. But the talk is they lost at Penn State on Saturday to the worst team in the Big Ten.
Terrible loss.
That's going to be a seed loss. Now, there is some, and I'm in this boat, it might be a blessing in disguise. And lose to Michigan and maybe lose to Nebraska, and you get off that 8-9 line and you go to a 10 or an 11, and it's actually better because you don't want to be the 8-9 line. But overall, it's a bad loss. That cannot happen. It's Iowa State has lost 3 or 4, but none of them are that bad of losses. I don't even know what to say. The Hawks, I mean, you needed that win because you're coming off the Ohio State win because now you play top 5 Michigan and top, 15 Nebraska. Now Nebraska's coming off a loss now. They got blown out at UCLA last night. But it's just tough. And then I don't know how it's all going to shape out. All these conferences are way too big, who they're going to play in the Big Ten tournament. But you don't want to go into the NCAA tournament losing 3 in a row or 4 in a row if they would happen to lose that first game or, 4 or 5. You don't necessarily want to. I mean, obviously Iowa would love to win the Big Ten tournament because that would advance their seed, but probably not going to win the Big Ten tournament because you're not having enough buys. But you don't want to go in losing 4 or 5 in a row.
No, absolutely not. And like we spoke about last week and maybe even the week before, as you mentioned, it could be a blessing in disguise. Maybe you drop down that 10-11 line, which that makes your path a little bit easier. But then you're kind of flirting with disaster too. So, it was a terrible loss. I was joking with Mike earlier. I said that's why they're the JV team in the state, or for the Hawkeyes, I should say. The women have got a 2-seed or a 3-seed locked up at worst. So, for the Iowa men, that was a tough one. worst team in the Big Ten, and you go there and just kind of, lay an egg. It's disappointing, but they do have some big games coming up. Can they pull an upset? I don't know. I think it might be better. It might be easier in a way to go on a run in the Big Ten tournament potentially if they're going to do anything.
Yeah, it's Michigan and Nebraska. I mean, I think they match up okay with Nebraska. I mean, I don't think, but they're going to run into a beehive, and that place is going to be lit from the moment that team walks on the floor from warm-ups until that game is over, unless Iowa takes them out of it right away and gets out a big lead or whatever. But that place is going to be on fire from what happened a couple weeks ago at Carver with the court storm and the phone in Hoiberg's face, things like that.
Absolutely. Nebraska, those players, the coaches, and the fans, they're going to want their revenge. So you're right. It's going to be a really tough environment. Iowa's done pretty good against Nebraska in most of the sports that I pay attention to anyway.
They really own. I have a friend that's a Nebraska fan, and our principal is an Iowa fan, and he was showing us. He sent him stuff last night and this morning. Just your daily reminder that the Hawks own. The Cornhuskers, things like that. And it's a fact right now. I mean, it really, really is. So.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. If somehow they could beat either Michigan or Nebraska, that would be amazing. But as we've spoken about, it might be better to drop down to a 10 or 11 and take your chances that way. Now, you don't want to miss the tournament, though.
Right. Your first game, you don't want to be in that playing game. I mean, it's okay. But you get to that 10, the first game's harder. I mean, because you're playing the 7 instead of the 8 or 9, whatever, on paper. But it's really not that much different. But it's just when you get – now you're going to go play a 2 seed, not a 1. You don't want to play Duke right away, which most mock drafts have them as the 8-9 game and then playing Duke. You don't want any part of Duke. You'd rather play a Houston Michigan State is getting – they're not going to play Michigan State in the second round, but that type of team in Illinois, Iowa State, if they can somehow make a run in the Big 12 tournament, those type of teams, Texas Tech is starting to get there. Have you watched the Big 12? Big 12 last night, utter chaos again. BYU lost again. Texas Tech lost. Kansas lost at Arizona State. I don't even know what's going on in the Big 12. Everybody loses to all the bad teams.
Well, maybe that's because they got such a tough schedule at the top of the Big 12. They take these lesser teams lightly.
Yeah, Bill Self gets kicked out of the game 15 minutes into it, and they lose at Arizona State. So give them a jump, and then they come to Ames on Saturday. Just what we needed.
Yeah, I've got ESPN's bracketology pulled up. Is it Andy Katz or who does this?
Well, ESPN's would be.
Oh, it's Joe Lunardi. Sorry,
Lunardi. Yeah.
Yep, and it now has Iowa State as a 3 seed.
Yeah, I can't argue that they've not good.
Yeah, now they would play Louisville. Assuming they move on, they would most likely play Louisville, but Ohio State's kind of in the mix too. But it's in St. Louis, so you want to stay in the Midwest if you can, like you've mentioned before.
Right. Is it? Are they in the Midwest bracket? I mean, just because they're in St. Louis doesn't mean they're in the Midwest bracket.
No, this is the Washington D.C. bracket actually.
Yeah, so they'd be East. So they'd be matched up. Who's the 2 seed in that bracket? I haven't even looked at Lunardi today.
Michigan State.
Don't like that.
Yes, that'd be they're dropping a little bit, and also in the Washington bracket, Iowa's in that one, the 8-9. They're playing St. Louis. St. Louis, a lot of people like as a sleeper, like Sweet 16 team potentially that could maybe win a game or two in the tournament.
Yeah. So then if Iowa would beat St. Louis, they would play Duke, right?
Correct.
Yeah. You don't want any part of Duke either. So.
No, but that's it would be kind of fun to see Iowa and Iowa State in the same section of the bracket. I've told you this over the years, and there's probably a lot of people like me. I do top left, top right, bottom left, bottom. That's how I explain it. But on here, it's not quite the same. No,
they do it different there. But it would be if Iowa could run through and get to the Elite Eight, they would match up.
It'd be one hell of a matchup. So.
Holy smokes! The entire state of Iowa would head to Washington D.C. if that actually happened for those two teams to go to the Final Four, because it'd be the first time that Iowa's been in the Sweet 16 since 1999, and then Iowa State's first Elite Eight since 2000, and then obviously one of those two teams to go to the Final Four. That would be it'd be a lot of flights from Des Moines to DC.
It certainly would be, and also,
and I would probably be on one of them if that actually did happen.
Well, you got to go, and also looking at this, if Iowa State's a 3, Iowa could drop down to one of those 11 spots. That could be potentially be a round of 32 matchup if they both were to win their opening rounds.
Yeah, basketball is just nuts, and I do think Big 12 is going to have some, and I think over the last 10 years, the conference tournaments haven't had as much influence on the tournament as maybe the 10 years before that. But I think with these conferences getting so big, and you're going to have, an Illinois playing a Michigan State in the quarterfinals. This is just an example. I don't know if that's actually true, but you're going to have Iowa State and Kansas playing in the quarterfinals, that are fighting for a 3 seed or a 2 seed. Or you're going to have Iowa State and Houston if they would get to the semis. If Iowa State beats Houston, do they jump Houston to get to that 3 seed / 2 seed? Because these teams are going neck and neck against each other for seeding, and they actually play each other, and not in like a final that, it is what it is, but in a quarterfinal, in a semifinal, Illinois is the 4 seed in the Big Ten and has to play Michigan in this, in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten. Those are two teams that could win the whole thing. Illinois is sneaky good.
Yeah,
I know they've lost some games, but they can score the basketball, and that is the name of the game. And they got really good guards.
Joe Lunardi still has Illinois as a 2 seed as of his last bracket, and I should check. This was updated. It was updated yesterday morning, so pretty close to being up to date. I kind of like checking on this a couple times a week just to see how some of the teams change. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be, and also to mention too, I know I text our group with me, you, Zach, and Cody about this, but I think we're going to do a survivor pool.
Yep, I think I've got it figured out. In that splash thing, they do it, and so we'll get together this week and figure out entry fee and who to send it all to, and because I was trying to figure out how to do it like on a spreadsheet like we did for the football one, so we could get some more people in, but I'm not that smart with computers, and when there's a program already to do it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Use the technology if it's there. When I first heard about it, I'm like, well, that sounds really easy or like not that competitive. But when you think about it,
and you can do it.
The first 4 days, you have to pick a different team each day, and you got to make sure you don't pick a team that you think can win it all, because you're going to need them at the end if they survive.
Yeah, I think more people are going to go longer, but yeah, you can't pick the no-brainer right away. And then the other thing that happens is you can do it one of two ways. I think I said this in the chat. You can do each day, so each day you have to pick, or you can pick a round, and then there would be half as many picks. So I like the day, like whoever plays on third, and then you also have to pay attention. People that don't make that pick. The games don't get over till midnight, and they start again at 11 in the morning. If you forget, you're out. We'll get together and iron out the details there. But I do like that, and it's also a little different in the NFL. The survivors is, you didn't pick. Let's just use Iowa State as an example. You saved Iowa State, and they got beat. So now you don't even have an option of them. So, I think it'll be interesting. I've never done one for basketball, but when you get to the Sweet 16, you only can pick one of the 16 teams, but you got to save teams that are going to go. And I mean,
I think it's actually.
I think there's going to be somebody that's still alive that may not have a team to pick late. Don't you think?
Yeah, there probably will be. Or when you get down to the Final Four, like 2 or 3 of their teams might be out.
Yeah.
And they're down to 1 or 2 choices just by.
And it might be, and if it's a team that's I could see it kind of like the Villanova, Oklahoma, where Oklahoma didn't necessarily maybe deserve to be there, made some upsets, and Villanova beat them by 50 or whatever they did, and the game's not even close. But that's the only team they had. It was
a team I'm eyeing actually to pick on either the first or second day. I should say the opening round or the round of 32 is Kansas, because they've had so many problems with Peterson. I think they're a team you want to use early, but they probably won't win the title. So that's a team I'm going to be eyeing to use, and with one of my first picks.
Yeah, the first round now to get, but they're a team they could get beat. They got beat by Arizona State yesterday. That's insane.
Yeah, this shows them playing Kentucky in the second round, most likely, if the favorites were to win. So I think Kansas is like a team that I'm going to be looking at. The more and more I hear about it, it sounds like a blast. So I can't wait, because I'm going to have
because I think you do. Just thinking you do want to pick like a 3 or 4 seed in like the first round, maybe even a 5 that you really like.
Yep.
Because you can't pick the 1s and 2s, because you got to have them late, because they're going to be there late. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, it should be a lot of fun. Brackets, survivor pool. I'm getting kind of amped up into the college basketball on the men's side. Of course, women's. I know we're going to finish up here in a few minutes, and then you may keep going or whatever if you want. Yep. But just real quick on the Iowa women, they're ending the season really well.
Yep.
They're for sure going to be either a 2 or 3 seed. I think they're locked into one of those two. So it's going to be good. They're going to have 2 home games to open up the tournament. The team's really playing well. I feel like they've got the rotation figured out. Addie Deal comes off the bench and some other players, but it feels like they've really found themselves. And that Illinois game was kind of scary, but they're a good team. Can they win the national title? No, because I think it's either UConn or one of the other 2 or 3 big ones. But could they make a Sweet 16 or potentially an Elite 8? I think that's probably their ceiling this year.
Is Stuelke hurt bad, or just gonna be bothered by it the rest of the year?
My guess is she's going to be bothered by it the rest of the season, whether she starts or plays or whatever the case might be. So, sounds like she might miss Friday's game.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that, because I don't, like you said, I don't think they can fall below a 3. And I really kind of think, you got to think they're the number 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament, and the only one above them is UCLA, who is one of those teams that can win it all. There's about 3 teams that can, and they're one of them. So they're the 2 seed. They should be able to win that first game without her, and then hopefully get her back in some capacity for the rest of the tournament to try to get – I do think you want to get to the finals and play UCLA there to solidify your 2 seed.
Yep.
And then hopefully the draw is you play Friday afternoon to give her as much time as you can. Or I guess it would be Saturday afternoon for them, because they play – I don't even know. They do Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I know it's kind of the same, but it's off a little bit. I don't know. But as long as you can, you want to play the last game of the first weekend or the first round.
You want as much rest as possible, just like you mentioned there. So, yeah, this seems like something that's probably going to bother through the tournament. We'll see, of course. But, no, it's fun. We talked about during the Caitlin Clark years, Iowa women, just like all the other teams, of course, they're guaranteed 2 more games, and that's it.
Yep.
You got a tournament game, and you got a March Madness game, and after that, you don't know. So, for your Iowa State men, Iowa State women, we'll see. They're kind of a roller coaster team right now, but you're only guaranteed 2 more games at this point.
I heard this on Murph and Andy. This is a good question. Over under men's games left in the season for Iowa, and I think they put it at 5.5.
Under.
Yep, and that was and then Iowa State was 8.5.
I think a little bit more about that, because how many
so they
play in the Big 12 tournament?
So they each have 1 regular season game left. Well, actually, Iowa has 2 regular season games.
Sorry, now I forgot about that, because the men's season goes just a tad longer. So.
Yeah, Iowa State still has Saturday, and then Iowa actually has Thursday and Sunday. So Iowa still has 2. So then, they have at least 1. So Iowa's guaranteed 4 more games, really. I guess if they would lose every one, maybe. I guess maybe they could miss the tournament, but I doubt it. So they're guaranteed 4, with 2 regular season, 1 Big Ten, and 1. So they would have to win 2 more games, 1 more in the Big Ten or 2 more in the Big Ten. Yeah, so 5.5 to win. So you'd have to get to 6.
I'm still going under on Iowa men at the moment.
Okay. And then Iowa State has 1 more left, and then they will have to play 1, 2. If they would win the Big 12 title, they would play 4. So that would be 5. And then, you win to get the Elite 8 would be 3. So I would go under for both.
I think I probably would too, honestly.
But if they would get to the Elite 8, which Iowa State very easily could, they can flip a switch and the matchups break their way, then you would lose. And then, they could make a run. I don't think they will, but they could make a run and win 4 games in the Big 12 tournament, and there's 5, and then all of a sudden you get to Sweet 16, and then you're the over. So,
yeah,
and I think this question was before they lost to Arizona, too. So they were kind of thinking. So maybe it was 2. Both of them were 2. Just so 2 regular season left, and then how many in the Big 10 and Big 12. So, but yeah, I thought that was an interesting question, and looking at it as of right now, Iowa State, because they do have 1 less regular season game, you might do 7.5 just to take it 1 less, just because of that.
Right. So, no, that makes sense. It should be. We're coming to the closing out time of the regular season for these basketball teams, going into tournament time. We're gonna have Selection Sunday, that's another one of my favorite days. Just like everybody, They play the music, they unleash the seeds. You see the teams and the fans. Selection Sunday is awesome. So this is actually it's a good time of year. We got Masters coming up, and all sorts of other.
What was I saw something, and I should have screenshot it, but I didn't. But it was like coming up. You got women's conference tournaments, men's conference tournaments, then you have the NCAA tournament. I know it was golf. It was you have the Arnold Palmer, then you have the Players, then you have the NCAA tournament. Then you have the Masters. I mean, all 4 straight weeks, 5 straight weekends. I mean, it's pretty good.
It's really good. And then a couple weekends after the Masters, you got the NFL draft.
Yeah,
free agency.
WrestleMania was on that list. It's pretty much right after. I mean, it was kind of a weird list. It was some golf. It was some basketball. It was football. The NFL draft was in that mix. Yeah, it was. Yeah, just kind of all right. Yeah, what's the NFL draft like? April 16th or something like that.
It's the last weekend of April. So
okay, so it's the next would be like the 25th or whatever.
Yeah, but this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and especially into Monday, NFL free agency. You're going to start. Rumors are going to come out. This team agreed to this deal with a player. It'll go through on X day at a certain time. All the tampering period, as we call it, which the NFL just kind of agrees. All right, we're going to allow it. I kind of agree with. So it's going to be March is actually a really good sports month.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so I know you got to get it going here. Your prediction for the high men's basketball team: 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2?
0-2.
Yep, I agree. So that the loss at Penn State gave all hopes lost to the future regular season.
Maybe it'll give them a little kick in the butt, and they can maybe go 1-1. 1-1 would be awesome. Obviously, 2-0
absolutely
would be spectacular. But I don't know. They feel a little bit off right now from the little that I've watched of them this season. Again, I'm not like you or Zach or Tassel or some other of our friends that watch a lot of Iowa men. I'm more focused on the women's team, but they just feel off right now to me.
Yeah, they are not 1 through 8 or 9. Their rotation all ready to be Big Ten players yet. There's a few, but some of them are definitely Drake players.
Yep.
And that's just the reality. It's okay. You got to give Coach McCollum time. In 3 years, you better have a roster full of Big Ten players. But this year, you got to give him a little bit of a pass. But in 2 or 3 years, he's got to have a whole roster of Big Ten players, and then we'll see how he can coach.
Absolutely.
I think he's really good, but you do have to have Jimmys and Joes.
Yeah, and Ben Sturts is going to be gone after this year, so that I'm really interested to see how they play without him moving forward.
I am as well. I think that will be. They both need to shake each other's hand, and they've been great for each other and made each other a ton of money. And unfortunately, their time's coming to an end together, and they need to take each other out for dinner and take each other on a vacation and say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yep. No, you're right. They both made each other a ton of money. So he's a fun player to watch. Hopefully moving forward, whether it's this season or in future seasons, Iowa's got a good future there with him at head coach. But no, I know we had to be a little bit quicker tonight. Thanks for kind of working with my schedule, and I'll send you a mock draft this weekend.
Yep.
Next week I will be at home, so I will for sure be able to kind of do a normal podcast, and we'll kind of go through the mock draft and maybe talk about a few of the picks that you found surprising or just interesting in whatever way.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks a lot, Trev.
All righty. Have a good one.